Welcome to Dear Diary, the self-love podcast. This is your place to dive deep into personal development and self-love inspiration, connecting you to your intuition, your body, and your higher self, while unlocking and activating your confidence and inner power, inspiring you to show up and choose you over everything that gets thrown in your way, instead of listening to the limiting beliefs running around inside of your head. We will explore a variety of topics from conquering fear, letting go of doubt, self awareness, mom guilt, trusting your intuition, along with a ton of self care tools that I'll be sharing along the way. With solo sessions and a magnetic guest list of remarkable souls, this is my platform to empower others while using my voice to share my self love, growth, and healing journey. I hope that this podcast serves you well and you get as much value from it as I do sharing it. So here we go. Welcome to the Self-Love Survival Guide episode. This was meant to be a masterclass, but I overestimated the availability of my schedule. So we're going to come over here and do a podcast episode, and that way it can remain around forever. And it is the holidays right now. I'm recording this December 20th, 2022. But I think this applies year round. We tend to get really stressed in the winter. We tend to get really overwhelmed around the holidays. So I think it pertains especially for right now. But you can take this and run with it any time of year. And so this is going to be me just explaining what works for me. It doesn't mean that it will work for you too. It doesn't mean that it may be a fit for you, but I invite you to set some things down, carve out some time, and just listen to the words that I speak with an open heart and an open mind. The holidays are hard. Life is hard. We are busy. It is stressful. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to be. There's a lot on the table. And sometimes, and I say this probably in like every episode I've ever created, it's too much and we get stuck in our heads, and then we repeat these loops over and over and over and over again, and it just becomes fucking relentless. Right? And then you get to the point where you're like, oh my God, when is it gonna be enough? Like, I can't take anymore, right? Like, I've had enough. I'm at my breaking point. Like, when is it going to get easier? Especially around the holidays, especially when we have the not enoughness running through our head and it's literally visible in front of our face. For some of us, maybe it's visible underneath our tree with the lack of what we wish was under there, but we can't provide to go under there, right? Um, or the amount in which we desire and crave and really just wish we had family that loved one another and we could all get along and make memories and have fun. And some of us don't have that. Some of us are very alone around this time of the year. I feel that. Okay. So it's a different reason for different people, but I think the theme across the board is that there's this lingering essence of wanting it to be easier, wanting it to be better, and just feeling like we're enough and that it's going to be okay. So I jotted down some notes. I jot down some notes. And again, this is what works for me. You take what resonates and utilize it, and you leave what doesn't. And that's 100% okay. The first thing I want to talk about is protecting your peace. Okay? This is what we're lacking right now, right? Like, not a lot of us are feeling peaceful right now. It's stressful. And the first step that I feel is really important, and it's the most hardest, so that's why we're going to start there. Well, maybe it's not the hardest, but it's definitely something that you get to do over and over and over and over again until you really are good at it, right? It's giving yourself compassion and grace, protecting your peace, realizing that when you're finding yourself in a moment where you're really stressed the fuck out, just taking a pause, noticing that you're stressed out, right? Just taking a pause. Sometimes that looks like a breath. Sometimes that looks like setting things down. Sometimes that looks like saying no when you mean no, or even saying yes when you mean yes. But we'll get to those two things a little later. But just really being with yourself and giving yourself grace. We're all navigating really hard shit. We all are. It doesn't matter what it is. It looks different for everyone. But every single one of you listening to this right now, if you're listening to this podcast at all, you are navigating something hard. We all are. I am. You are. It's okay. But if we can just come back to us anytime that we've found like we've gone astray or we've tapped into the monkey mind of bullshit and we're just like, "Oh my god, I can't even think straight. I can't breathe. I don't know what is important. I don't know what's me. I don't know what's not me. I don't know if I can do this anymore." Just taking that pause, giving yourself grace, having compassion for whatever it is that you're going through, knowing that you're gonna make it through. You always do. That silly cliche saying of like, you've survived your hardest days. It's true. You are standing here now. And even though you may be dirty and you may be in the muck, right, with your face covered in mud, feeling like you can barely get out alive, you're still here. And even if you're not standing and you're just crawling at this point, you are still here. And I invite you to trust that what's inside of you in these really, really hard moments, the doubt, the fear, the insecurity, the just defeated, ugh, that's not you. That's not who you truly are. What do you feel like when you're satisfied? What do you feel like when you feel free and open and loved and inspired? What does that feel like? Because that's who you truly are. This version of you that's covered in mud, it's because of the things that have happened to you. It's because of the things that you've allowed. It's because of the mind that has taken over the driver's seat. It's because of the limiting beliefs and the stories that you tell on loop. It's because of the people that you surround yourself with. It's because of the things that you've allowed, maybe up until this point right now. You can make a decision to choose you, to protect your peace, to trust that whatever is inside of you is not this. Giving yourself grace. I remember the first time someone told me that. I was back in my MLM days in my upline. She said, we were having a coaching call, and she was like, "Girl, you need to give yourself some fucking grace." And I was like, "What does that mean?" Have some compassion for yourself. The way we love ourselves is the way we teach others to love ourselves. And yes, it is possible to love yourself even when everything feels like shit. That, my friend, is when you want to love yourself the most. Really tapping into stepping back into your power, knowing who you are. If you're dealing with something in life right now that feels crunchy, that feels yucky, that feels like you're in the mud, it's okay to take a pause and acknowledge that That's not where you want to be. That's not how you want to feel. And that's not who you are. And then take your power back. And you take your power back by separating yourself from this feeling, from this situation, from this thing that's happening to you. It's not happening to you, it's actually happening for you. It's an opportunity for you to get back to yourself, to give yourself grace, to love yourself more unconditionally. I say this all the time lately, and I feel like it's a theme with me, with the other coaches and mentors that I surround myself with, and even with my clients. It's like there's lessons in everything. There are teachers in every situation. What's going on in your life right now? Where are you struggling? Where are you not satisfied? What feels hard? Really sit with that and think about that. And it's okay. You're not going to explode because you're thinking about bad things. You think about bad things all day long. But what if you thought about the bad things a little bit more intentionally? Of like, okay, what is this teaching me? This this situation that I always seem to find myself in. What is it teaching me? Where is the lesson here? What can I learn in here? How can I get my power back from this? Maybe you need to set a boundary. Maybe you need to start giving yourself some fucking grace. Maybe you need to start trusting your intuition more and separating yourself from the things that you know are not you. What if you need some extra self care? What if you need to own what's yours in this situation? That's another thing. And I don't, don't shoot the messenger here, but I'm just saying this goes hand in hand with the what I just spoke about, and it's like, are you owning what's yours? If you're looking at your problems as outside of you, well, that's where you're going wrong. And I know, don't be mad at me for that because I remember being coached many times and it was like, come back, they would just all say like, okay, come back to you. Like you're talking about external things that are not you, that you have no control of. Like, how can you take ownership in this situation? And it's like, well, I don't wanna. I'm not the one doing the things. I'm not the one with the problem, right? And it's like, okay, maybe, valid. And how are you reacting to that problem? How are you enabling that problem? How are you making that problem a bigger problem? Where are you not taking responsibility? Where are you not setting boundaries? Right? Where perhaps maybe are you a magnet for some of these problems because you allow them to keep happening? What if you zoomed out a little bit and you looked at some of the stories that you tell yourself and see that maybe those stories are the problem? And if you stopped telling them and you got into a more powerful, peaceful state of being, those stories might start to fade away. What are you experiencing that seems to be a habit? It seems to be like a constant, right? And then, like, what can you change about those habits? Maybe if you started trusting your gut and your intuition more and taking responsibility for what's yours and looking at the teachers and the lessons in these situations, giving yourself grace and compassion, trusting that you know what is you and what is not you, and separating yourself from those two things, maybe it would become a little bit easier to start stepping into your power. Just little by little. It doesn't have to be this grand leap, right? Just baby steps, baby steps. Maybe you start with drinking more water. Maybe you start by having a morning routine because you hate getting up early, like with a fucking passion, but you know deep down inside that half hour or that hour is like your lifeline. And I'm pointing to me right now. Maybe you need to just start sucking it up and doing it. And eventually you'll get into a habit where when the alarm clock goes off, you don't want to throw it across the room and you get up with purpose and excitement because you know that you're about to pour into yourself for the next hour to set your day up for success in a more peaceful state instead of waking up reactive and chaotic and just, maybe it's a bedtime routine. Maybe you need to get the fuck off TikTok. Maybe you need to stop going on social media so much because let me tell you something. Around the holidays, going on social media, especially the day of Christmas or any holiday where you see people gathering with happy families and lots of presents and all the luxury and all the things that you want that you don't see in front of you, that shit's hard to look at. I know that. I feel that. Because even if you have the best holiday ever, sometimes we tend to, as a society as a whole, look at the things that we don't have more than the things that we do. So, this brings up my next point. We've talked about protecting your peace. We've talked about owning what's yours. Let's talk a little bit more about trusting your intuition. Here's the difference between what your intuition is and what you think your intuition might be, right? You're like, "Well, I don't know. What's mine, what's not mine," right? You keep saying trust what's you and then separate yourself from what's not you. Well, what if I don't know? Okay. Well, here's where you find out. Your intuition, the thing that is you inside of you, that feels like a warm hug. That feels easy. It feels friendly. It feels familiar. It feels like a okay. And your intuition may be telling you to do something hard. So it may not be like, oh, well, this is just going to be a cakewalk. No, but there's no fear behind it. There's no doubt behind it. There's no like, your body doesn't contract when your intuition is telling you something. It just feels like the right thing. And now, if you are into human design, you know that based on how you make decisions, you either go with your sacral, right? You go with your gut, or you ride an emotional wave. And now, if you need more information about human design, reach out to me. That is another self love survival tool that I highly, highly recommend looking into. But we all sort of make decisions and trust our intuition a little bit differently, or listen to our intuition a little bit differently. But you know when something is for you and when something is not for you. You know. If you're like, yeah, okay, you say yes to this commitment and your body's like, no, 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 no. Right? You're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then you're like, oh, that's your intuition going, no, say no. Right? Or when you say yes and your body's like, oh, why didn't you just say no? You know you can't commit to any more things. That's your intuition. It feels like you. Now, your ego, which is what we often mistake for the way we make decisions and for our intuition, that feels like pressure. That's the when you said yes, but you really should have said no. But you said yes because you want to be a good person. You say yes because you want to make people happy. You say yes because you feel like if you say yes, people will love you more. That's your ego. That's your mind. Your intuition knows that if you say no when you mean no instead of saying yes, you're honoring yourself in that moment and you'll be rewarded later on down the line. I promise you. So your mind and your ego, it feels hard. It feels contracting. It feels like Fear. There's like this little twinge of like fear and doubt or scarcity or not good enoughness. There's an essence of your old story lingering in this decision or whatever it is that you're doing. Trust your intuition. Listen to your body when you make decisions. Sit with these decisions before you make your commitments. If you don't want to go to your mother-in-law's house for Christmas because everybody there makes you feel uncomfortable and they gossip too much and it's just not an enjoyable experience, well, I get sometimes you can't say no, but what if you did? What if you did? What if you started making your own holiday traditions at your house? What if you invited your mother-in-law to come to your house instead? No, I'm sorry, we're not gonna make it this year, but you can come see us if you'd like. Now, I know that's not ideal for everybody, but I'm just giving an example of like, okay, what if you said no to some things that you really wanted to say no to? What's gonna happen? Is the whole world gonna explode? No. Is your family gonna stop talking to you? Maybe. Would that be a bad thing? I don't know. All right, trust your intuition. It is there for a reason. You were born with it. It is there to guide you. And it's so hard to listen to when you've got all this mind chatter and like a million plates spinning in the air. So if you can protect your peace, give yourself compassion, own what's yours, and really just listen to what's going on inside of you, listen to what's going on inside of your body and inside of your heart, listen to your intuition and get the fuck out of your mind. Your mind, that cage that resides within you, that holds all of the limiting beliefs and the stories and the scarcity and the doubt and the fear and the things that society puts pressure on us about. Get out of that cage and tap back into your body. That's how you find out what's for you. That's how you're able to listen to your intuition, and it will be loud and clear. Trust me on that. And you'll get to a point where you can't do anything but listen to your intuition. My intuition is my to-do list now. I the more you do this and the better you get at it and the more you practice it, if you would have talked to me a couple months ago and I would have said, "Well, I don't really have a to-do list. I just kind of trust my intuition and let my day flow." I would have laughed in your face and said, "Yeah, right. You're blowing smoke up my ass. Like there's no way. I would get nothing done." Or I would just be like scrambling all over the place. Like, no. Yes. That is how I let my day flow now. That is how far I've come because I've practiced this over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. Now let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are one of the most important things that you could ever do in your entire life. They are like in the top 5 category of self-care, right? Setting a boundary is self-care. Setting a boundary is self-love. Setting a boundary gets easier and easier the more you do it. But they are not easy to set, okay? And so a lot of people, you hear the word like, I'm setting a boundary, right? Like I'm setting a boundary. And sometimes I feel like people think, well, I shouldn't say some people. I thought setting a boundary meant putting up a brick wall to keep people out, right? Like barbed wire fence where if anybody came near it, they were going to get shocked, right? Burning bridges. That's a boundary. I'm going to burn this bridge so you can't cross it anymore. They don't have to be these rigid lines drawn in the sand for everyone to see and to get hurt if they came near it, right? Boundaries are just a way to take care of ourselves. When you understand how to set and maintain healthy boundaries, you can avoid so much heartache. You can avoid so much pain. And they can look different. They do look different for every situation, for every person. Um, Typically we think of boundaries as like keeping someone else at a distance and attaching ourselves from someone else and avoiding close relationships. Those can be very like strict, firm boundaries, like just like cutting somebody out of your life completely, right? And sometimes you have to do that. And then there's other people that have boundaries that are super loose and like they don't really have any because they get too involved with other people's problems and they find it difficult to say no and they overshare with everyone and they seek others' permission and approval and a lot of that codependency, right? So, healthy boundaries look more like sharing just enough information. Right? If you go to a family party for Christmas and you know you're going to get judged, why are you going to tell them your entire life story? They just going to judge you and then you're going to feel like shit. That's a boundary. And it's not a boundary. I say this, there's like internal boundaries and external boundaries. And some would argue that they're strictly internal, right? But for me, setting a boundary of like not oversharing, that is an internal boundary that other people don't need to know about, right? I'm just going to go to the holiday party. And if somebody asks me how I'm doing, I'm just going to say good. Because if I said good, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's giving them a lot of ammo to judge. Oh, that's giving them a lot of things to come back with me at, right? That's giving them a lot of things that they can come back with me and maybe disapprove of or make me feel bad for. But if I just say I'm doing really well, that doesn't leave a lot on the table for them to take, right? It's understanding your personal needs and wants and how to communicate them, right? Moms, moms, if you need help, ask for it. Don't just carry around the heavy load and then get pissed off at everyone for not helping. I can't tell you how many times my partner is like, "What can I help with? What can I help with?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I got it. Nothing." Ugh. The fact that I even have to tell you what I need from you is like annoying. Like, I'll just do it. No. Communicate your wants and needs to the people that are in your life instead of being resentful because they're not just assuming what you need, right? That's a boundary. That's an internal boundary of like, okay, I'm not going to do it all on my own. I understand that I have needs and wants, and I'm going to communicate them. Valuing your own opinions, but not attaching to other people's opinions. That is a boundary. Accepting when others tell you no, and also being able to say no, right? If you're having an uncomfortable conversation with somebody at the dinner table, a family member that's always got something to say, it's okay to excuse yourself. It's okay to say, you know what? I'm not comfortable having this conversation anymore. Do you think we could move on to the next topic? Would you like to share with me about what's going on with you? Right? Like shifting that. You can do that from an empowered place, not a defensive place, right? So, and boundaries are going to look different from work to at home family and extended family and friends. Like they are going to look different for everyone. Physical boundaries, your personal space, your privacy, your body. Maybe you're not comfortable with hugging everyone around the holidays because you're not crazy about the transfer of germs. State that, right? Somebody goes in for a hug, you give them a fist bump, you give them a pound, you give them a high five. If they look at you like you got 10 heads, just say, not hugging right now. And leave it at that, right? That's a boundary. Intellectual boundaries. Maybe when you're feeling like someone's dismissing your ideas or your opinions, do you think you need to keep sharing your ideas and opinions with this person? No, maybe not, right? And vice versa. Respecting that someone else doesn't feel like sharing their opinions or ideas. Emotional boundaries, right? Like, you might not feel comfortable sharing your emotions, but if you do it gradually, a little bit at a time, that might open up a whole opportunity for people to understand you more. Or maybe you share too much and you need to get a journal. I say that to my partner all the time. You share a lot of things with me, and I get that I am your person, but sometimes it's too much. And sometimes there are things that I don't need to know. There are some times where it becomes overwhelming at the amount that you share with me, right? Now he shares it more with his therapist. I don't think he's going to get a journal. I wish he would. I wish he would. Men, if you're listening, it's okay to journal. Financial boundaries. If you do not have money to spend on the holidays, don't overspend. Easier said than done. I understand that, right? If you have a friend that's constantly asking to borrow money and you don't have the money to give, or you don't feel in a good position to give it, don't, right? So there's so many different types of boundaries, and this will be a podcast for another day, but setting boundaries around the holidays is so imperative, and it doesn't have to look like a brick wall or a barbed wire fence. Boundaries can be loving. Boundaries can include having compassion for yourself and the other person. I say this all the time to my clients who are overwhelmed with family dynamics. And it's like, just get curious for a second, right? What would happen if I'm just going to use mother-in-law as an example. I'm not speaking about my mother-in-law. I'm just, mother-in-laws, they catch a bad rap. They really do. Some of them, not all of them. But it's like, if your mother-in-law is pushy and has a lot of opinions and makes you feel like shit because of the way you run your family and it's not the way she ran her family, or whatever the case is. What if you had compassion for the fact that she cares about you enough to care how you run your life? She cares about you enough to share all of these opinions with her. She was not taught to not share all of these opinions, right? She's coming from her own wounds, from her own insecurities, from her own place of doubt and fear and scarcity. And you don't have to own that. You don't have to attach to that. You can set a boundary and say, thank you for thinking about me. Thank you for caring for my well being. But this is how I'm going to do it now. And that's okay. Or I'm going to do it differently. And that's okay. Right? That's setting a boundary with compassion. Having compassion and grace for the other person, because they may not know any better. They may be coming from a place of love, even though it does not feel like it, right? But you don't have to own it. You don't have to take it on as yours. There's that protecting your peace again, trusting your intuition piece again. All of these things are linked. If you're not picking up on that, all of these things are linked. Just taking little parts of whatever resonates from what I'm speaking to you. Just taking a little bit, baby steps, baby steps. I'm going to try a little bit of this. I'm going to try saying no. Oh, that felt really good. Maybe I'll try it again. Oh, I got up early. It felt really good. I feel really peaceful today. Maybe I'm going to try it again tomorrow, right? Taking what feels good and running with it. The other part of the boundaries is like, stay in your lane, right? It goes kind of hand in hand with detaching from them, with the leaky energy, with trusting what's you and what's not you. Stay in your lane. If you are in a situation that does not feel good, it's okay to walk away. If you are walking in or participating in a conversation that feels cringe, you can stop speaking. You can hold your own. You can stay in your lane. You don't need to feed into that. You don't need to attach to it, right? These are all ways that you can survive the holidays. These are all ways that you can love yourself and protect your peace. Okay, so this last piece, and I literally could go on forever. I mean, your survival guide, the ways in which you love yourself, it looks different for everyone. Again, I'm just sharing what works for me. And I saved this one for last because they're all important, but this one is important. And if you can get good at this one, then it makes all the other ones that I spoke about so much easier. Okay. And that is being present, being mindful, being in the moment, moment by moment by moment by moment, not focusing on the past, not worrying about the future, getting present over and over and over and over again. No matter how many times you have to, you are going to get thrown off. Something's going to come up, your mind. Oh boy, that monkey mind. We talked about it. That ego is going to throw you off. It's going to be like, no, you can't be present. You need to worry about this thing that happened last week. Oh no, 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 no. You're gonna go to your family's house. You need to be worried about what happened last year. Oh, last year was a shit show. Here you go. Just get ready for it. You know so and so is gonna say this, and you know so and so is gonna say that, and this person. Get present, get present, get present, get present. Come back to you, come back to you, come back to you, over and over and over and over again. Being mindful where your mind is going, right? Is your mind sending you into a spiral? Bring it back. Bring it back. Get back into your body. Get out of your head. Get back into your body. That's why one of the reasons why I use these alarms on my phone when I'm in the thick of it, right? When I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much overwhelm and it's a really difficult season. These alarm reminders on my phone are a way to bring me back, right? Remember who you really are. So, getting present, being with yourself, listening to your body. Maybe it's going to look like different for everyone, but for me, that's why I use breath work. Whenever I'm feeling like, whoa, what happened? Or like my mind went sideways, or my day went sideways, or I'm being affected a little bit too much, or I'm feeling like off. I bring it back. I bring it back with the breath, right? It skips the record. It gets me back on track, and it really keeps me focused on the here and now, the here and now, the here and now, right? So being present, it helps you operate from a space that feels good because you're not stressed about the past and you're not anxious about the future. You're just here in the now, right? There's a level of like, there can be, if you practice it enough, there can be a level of gratitude for this moment right now. For this moment right now, I am healthy. For this moment right now, I have a roof over my head. For this moment right now, I have a job that I get to go to provide for my family. For this moment right now, my kids, maybe I'm not healthy and my kids are home sick and I had to call out today and I didn't want to do it and da 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 da. For this moment right now, I'm snuggling with my kids on the couch. Right? For this moment right now, yes, I have a to-do list that is a mile long. But you know what? Some of these things, number one, I'm going to take them off my list because they don't need to be on my list. But number two, I get to do these things, right? For this moment, right now, getting present. I spoke before about how I kind of I flow and vibe with my to-do list and trust my intuition. And you know what I ask myself? How do I want to use my energy right now? When I go get Brennan from school, it's like moms, they know, right? It's like he eats like he hasn't eaten in 5 days when he gets home from school, right? And it's like kind of chaotic, right? Because he had to keep it together all day at school. And then when he gets home, it's like he can fall apart a little bit. So do you think that I like do the hardest thing on my to-do list like after he gets home from school? No, I don't. I ask myself, how do I want to use my energy now? And sometimes it's allow him to fall apart and then like snuggle and relax, right? Maybe it's go outside and get some fresh air, but it's like right now, be present, right? Getting clear on where you're spending your energy right now, where your mind is right now, what's alive inside of your body right now. If you notice that you're in your mind and you're not in your body, get back into your body. Get present with your body. Seeing what you can change, prioritizing yourself, listening within, using that inner voice. And then maybe you can do things differently moving forward, right? Connecting with yourself. It's so important. And if you can connect with yourself and get present, sometimes the things that we think matter so much, they just start to fade away. Trusting your wisdom within yourself, that is like a personal healing revolution. That is where everything starts to get easier. When you can get present with yourself and kind of realize, well, is that how you want to show up? No, I don't want to show up that way. I want to show up this way. And then you start to receive more of that, right? Like, I don't want to show up stressed and anxious. I want to show up calm and centered and grounded, right? Getting present gets you grounded. Well, I'm going to get more of that back in return. If I'm showing up present in a powerful and balanced and with a clear head, I know that I'll be able to trust my intuitions because I'll be able to hear them. I know that I won't be affected by other people's opinions and judgments and experiences and energy because I'm in my own lane. I'm present with myself. Getting present with your experiences, some of them not maybe feeling so great, is going to help you align with what boundaries you need to set, right? And where you kind of fell astray and come back to yourself. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that these little nuggets of wisdom that I've experienced that have helped me navigate through some really rough times, I hope that they help you. And I hope that you remember that regardless of whatever it is that you're going through right now, it's going to be okay. You are going to be okay. If you stop focusing on all of the negative things that are happening to you and realizing that they are happening for you, they are your opportunity, your chance, your teacher to remind you to get back to you. Find your center. Take care of yourself. Practice self-care. Set boundaries. Say yes. Say no. Trust your intuition. Clean up that energy. Own what's yours and show up in a more empowered way. That's the magic. That is your survival guide. I hope this helped. I hope these words landed inside of you somewhere, and I hope that they inspired you to maybe show up a little bit differently this year for yourself. Forget about the holidays. Okay, yes, this is for the holidays, but like take whatever resonates and take this into the entire next year. What if it gets to be easy? What if it gets to be good? What if it gets to be better? What if you had all the time in the world? What if you were supported in exactly the right ways? What if you're doing the best job with what you have and it's exactly enough? Don't stand still in the places that feel like shit. Take baby steps and go slow. Make little tiny micro changes in whatever ways feel good, right? You don't have to like start doing the most with your self-care and setting all the boundaries and taking blame for everything because I said that you have to own what's yours. So now you're going to beat yourself up and uh, no. Baby steps. Check in with yourself more. Get present more. Trust what's you, let go of what's not. Give yourself some grace. Find compassion for yourself and for others. Quiet out the mind chatter and get back into your body, into your intuition, into the parts of you that feel good. If it doesn't feel good, it's not for you. It may have been you, or it may have felt like it's been you your entire life. It's time to put that down now. It's time to rewrite a new story. And if you got any value from this and you have the time, go back and listen to these other episodes on the podcast. I'm literally sharing what I'm experiencing in my life. It's what I'm here to do. It's literally written in my human design. It's my life's purpose. I just found out the other day. My life's purpose is to carry the energy to bring the unknown into known and discover a new way of looking at things. Bringing the world my inner knowing and sharing it to help other people understand that it's okay to have new ideas and new values and new views of themselves. Like, that's my life's purpose. So, this is what I'm here to do. And I think I'm doing it. So I hope some of these words resonated with you. I hope you can take them and baby step your way through them. And if you need to reach out for support or help, reach out. If you got any value from this, share it, because I know, and you know, more people need to hear these words. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time, for listening. And until next time, I hope you remember to love yourself, because you are the only one that is going to love yourself the way you desire and deserve to be loved. You set the tone. Come back to you. Give yourself grace. It's going to be okay. And that is it for today's episode. I hope that these words activated and inspired something inside of you. And if they did, please share this episode with a friend or on your social media, and feel free to tag me so that I can say thank you. The more people who hear these words along their path, the more we can help inspire and heal the world. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a review. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Sending love and light until next time. I'll see you soon.